Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cameron Reed, joined by TJ Sanders here at the Hearthstone Legendary Series, Season 2, Week 2. I'm pretty sure Steve is the same guy that was in some of the other commercials, too, as a scientist.
Definitely not.
You don't think so?
It's definitely a different guy.
Okay.
Steve is a very unique personality. Wingland points not guaranteed. All that good stuff.
Let's move right along here. We got Roger versus SilentStorm coming up next. Now, Roger's bringing a Druid, Warlock, and a Rogue. SilentStorm bringing a Warrior, Warlock, and a Paladin. Does that tell you anything on paper about who's favored in this match?
No, I mean, these decks, most of them are pretty standard. Like, the Druid's pretty standard. But the Warlocks are wild cards. SilentStorm, you never know what he's going to bring when he plays Warlock.
Sure.
At the Hearthstone Legendary Series LAN Finals, he brought that crazy Demon Lock that he just swept the tournament with, basically.
That was a crazy deck, too, and I played around with it a lot right after that tournament, because I think like a lot of people did, probably. And it was the kind of deck that was really easy to underestimate if you were its opponent.
Yeah.
You know, and I always feel like there were times where I felt, oh man, this one's starting to get a little bit out of hand for me here. How do I come back into that?
Yeah.
And then all it takes is some sort of Void Caller, Defender of Argus play.
Yeah.
Ripping out, you know, Mal'Ganis or anything along those lines. Even a Jiraxis with another Defender of Argus. And it's like, oh, okay, deal with that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of Warlock that's going to be if and when SilentStorm gets to it. But for now, he's going with his Paladin versus Roger's Warlock.
Yeah, so Paladin, usually I'd say this is a little bit favored for the Paladin, just because they have ways to pressure early and then get through the big wall pretty consistently.
Yeah, equalities.
With equalities, and sometimes they can just push through with just damage.
Sure.
Big Quartermaster turns are devastating for Warlocks. Paladins don't have burst, so the one thing is that a big Molten Giant play can be problematic if they use their quality earlier on.
Right.
But I would definitely say that more times than not, the Paladin comes on top. It's very close. Probably 55-45 in favor of the Paladin.
Okay.
It also depends on the Warlock. We've seen some combo locks today.
It's true.
I don't know how those fare against the traditional mid-range or control-y Paladin.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that there's probably not too many shenanigans going on with this Warlock deck. So
yeah, we'll see. I'm also really interested to see kind of what the scene is like for Roger over there and what the meta is like for them.
Yeah.
And because it's really interesting to see some of the Taiwanese players meta clashing with some of the North American or European players and creating some really unpredictable and interesting results.
Yeah, it's like Shaman versus not Shaman.
Now, it does look to, for all intents and purposes, to be a traditional handlock.
Indeed.
Based on the cards that we see here. And so it's still hard to say whether this is a more control-heavy or more of a standard mid-range Paladin. They're all going to have equality, probably BGH and True Silver.
Yeah. BGH, if you can make the read that it's going to be handlock, I would keep. But there's actually a lot of handlocks that aren't running Giants.
Okay.
There's a lot of combo locks that aren't running Mountain Giants. It's risky to keep it. But he gets it back anyway.
All right. Well, that's going to be really nice for him, actually. All right. So, is there what's the merit to the coin tap when you're on the coin?
If you don't have a play to make, or if you have a Mountain Giant and a early drop, like a 2-3 drop, then you can coin tap.
Okay.
But he has coin Twilight Drake available, so there's no point in coin tapping.
Okay.
Say he had an Earthring Farseer and no Twilight Drake, plus the Mountain Giant, he could coin tap, then be able to tap the next turn, play the Earthring Farseer the next turn, play the Mountain Giant on curve.
Sure.
For like exact mana. But other than that, if you have a Twilight Drake plus coin, no point. No point.
All right. So is he going to go straight for the muster here? I suppose it's the only option he really has other than another hero power pass.
Yeah. Everybody loves mustard.
The old mustard for battle.
Yep.
Should start a company that sells battle mustard.
The only people that would buy the mustard would be people that play Hearthstone.
Which is pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. That's right.
All it takes is one nerd at the store going, "No way.
Yeah.
No way, honey. We need this."
The
and
people
then
that don't
started a revolution.
The people that don't play it though, you try to explain to them what you do.
That's true.
You know, sports. It's like commentating sports, but it's a card game.
Yeah.
Kind of like Pokemon.
Excuse me.
And you're like, they're like, oh. They look at you. They look at you crazy.
Yeah. So he picks up another muster for battle here. That is an army of Silverhand recruits.
Yeah, and no Hellfire in sight.
Mm-hmm. And he's gonna just start throwing them at the Drake. That. Explain to me the logic of this one.
Well, he realizes that if there's a Hellfire, he's just going to get really far behind.
Yeah, so he might as well get a little value out of them while they are out there.
Yeah. The thing that I'm sort of confused about is he decided to trade 2 of them and then not trade the other 2.
Yeah.
Probably being so that he can trade the...
And there's the Hellfire, by the way.
Yeah, if the Twilight Drake traded into the Knife Juggler, he'd still have the 3 damage on board from the dudes to trade it into it more. Mm-hmm. But he gets punished. Hellfire comes out. Not as punished as much as he would be if he just went face with everything.
Right.
And if he was thinking even further ahead, he could have said, well, if he Hellfires, then he'd be at 3 health.
Yeah, I think he must have been. Because this actually works out really nicely for this Belcher.
Yeah. It's awkward for Roger because he can't kill it off with Mortal Coil and play Mountain Giant that turn.
Right.
Maybe he'll be able to pick it off the following turn.
All right. Well, SilentStorm kind of counting his stars here, saying, well, it's really nice that I got that big game hunter right back.
Yeah.
Kind of glad that worked out that way.
And the interesting thing about Conquest, we talked about it earlier, is once you know what a deck is, if it surprised you and beat you, you're not going to play against it again unless you meet that player in a later round.
So this is an obvious Mortal Coil here. And then, do you Mountain Giant or do you do your own Belcher? I say Giant. You've already seen...
Yeah, for sure.
You've already seen the big game hunter. The only thing it's really weak to is equality.
I don't think equality is the right play here because you can buy a turn with that slime, and there's a chance that Emperor Thorson could live an extra turn.
Yeah.
A free equality? Whoa!
Now we do see that there's a Siphon Soul in Roger's hand. So, he could always just go with the traditional Dr. Boom on turn 7, though, as well. And now he's starting to get him dangerously low for big free Molten Giants.
Yeah, I said it earlier as a Paladin, you can't really afford to play around Molten Giants. You don't have Burst, so you need to just do the damage while you can.
Yeah.
Force him to have it, and if he doesn't, you're in a great spot. If he does, you still could be in an okay spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got Equality Consecration in hand already, so he's kind of, I almost want to say, baiting him. He's like, go ahead, just double Molten Giant, and, you know, go ahead and do that. Yeah. Defender of Arcus afterwards, go ahead and tap so they're free, just do it.
Fantastic SilentStorm impression. I'm very impressed.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's now the big thing. If he Siphon Souls here, it's actually pretty dangerous because he's not developing a board. He can't Molten Giant Siphon Soul.
No.
And if he just Dr. Booms, he's leaving 11 damage showing on board. He has a Siphon Soul.
Yeah, he does.
He could.
Well, he's got a Sludge Belcher if he were to play the Molten Giant.
Then he's weak to Equality.
Well,
and he still dies.
That's
well,
true.
No, he wouldn't quite die to Equality Consecrate, but no, he would.
Yeah, hold on. So if he Equality Consecrates right here, that leaves him at 10 health. He's got to use the Acolyte and the weapon to get through the Baby Belcher. Then he's got 9 damage on the board.
He can draw into second Consecrate. Yeah, that's about it. Nope. But I mean, this is still a fantastic position.
Yeah. I mean, getting him down to 1 health. You've already seen the Mountain Giant or the Molten Giant.
Oh, that was
lethal. The weapon, of course.
Yeah. Idiots.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
Casters can't count. It's been proven time and time again.
It has been proven time and time again, especially communication major casters.
Yeah.
So SilentStorm taking an early lead, 1-0. Coming back to the HLS to defend his championship, perhaps. And the decks that SilentStorm is going to have left now are going to be a Warlock and a Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you choose?
I know he's going to save the Warlock for last, just because he knows that he can pick up a win with that. I'd imagine he'll go with the Warrior here. There's a chance he could. Well, yeah, Warrior. I'm 90% sure that he's going to go with Warrior.
Okay.
Could be wrong, but
All
that's
right.
my gut feeling. And I imagine Roger will just stay with the same deck.
Yeah.
Stay with that Warlock.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if he does follow the 80% likelihood in order to do that. Now, at this point, it still doesn't really feel like on paper, other than a 1-0 lead, that anybody's got that significant of an edge in this.
No. I mean, both these guys have impressed me for different reasons.
Yeah.
Roger, I think he's ranked pretty highly, top 10 in the world for Gosu Gamers.
Yep.
Which isn't official, but they have a pretty good algorithm. They have a pretty good point system, so it's pretty accurate for current strength for players.
The other thing is Roger, if I'm not mistaken, actually recently at the VIA Game House Cup was down against Tom 2-0. So being behind to him is really no big deal.
Yeah,
because he came back and reverse all-killed Tom at the VIA Game House Cup to make it into the finals.
Yeah.
So you're right, though. He's going to stick with the Warlock, and he's going to be going up against a Warrior. Now, this is probably really unlikely, but we talked about this specific Warrior deck last night a little bit. What are the odds that it's some sort of a crazy face Warrior?
Pretty low.
I'm not kidding. I've been seeing more and more of them on the ladder lately.
Yeah. I think it's better for ladder because faster games, even if you have a lower win rate than you do with control, you can climb faster.
Sure.
But for tournament play, it's just so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Especially against handlock. How's a face warrior, an aggressive warrior,
supposed to stand
going to be able to get through a wall?
Yeah, absolutely.
Once they get to that molten range, you're basically having to draw into like double mortal strike.
Yeah.
To win.
So he's got to get me below 12 health.
Yeah.
I've got to get him to exactly 12 health.
Yeah.
And then I've just got to reach right over those giants. Bam.
Exactly.
Bam.
It's just so unrealistic to be able to bring an aggressive warrior like that to a tournament setting like this and reliably pick up wins.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so SilentStorm has got kind of the important early game cards for the Warrior. He's got the War Axe and the Acolyte, but in this matchup, the War Axe isn't really going to have that big of an impact. Definitely not in the early going.
No.
What he's really hoping he can pull off probably is to get a big shield slam turn against the Giant or the Twilight Drake.
Yeah, Roger's really great at drawing into those threats. He's really great at drawing Twilight Drake.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic Mountain Giant
Apparently
drawer
so.
as well. Yeah, look, another one.
Jeez. All right.
What a fantastic handlock player.
Cap.
Yep. Yeah.
So do you sort of preeminently shield block here to charge up a big shield slam?
No.
Because against a handlock, what are the odds he's going to remove it all in the next turn?
Yeah, I would put down the Acolyte of Pain. Because sometimes, back in the day, this was a long time ago, there were some Warlocks who would Soulfire face the turn after they played, or the turn before they, right after they played their Twilight Drake or their Molten Giant, just to get rid of armor, to make it tougher for warriors to remove the first big threat. Because usually the first big threat, if you couldn't remove it, you lost.
Right.
And I think most warriors have gotten into the habit of using shield block when you need it, instead of risking losing that armor to some crazy antic like soul firing the face.
Right.
Then it would be to just preemptively do it.
All right, and I like going for the face here too. Removing the armor, not going to let him have a big shield slam without working pretty hard for it.
Yeah. He's going to have to trade virtually like everything in.
Yeah.
He can, he'll have to shield block,
and
throw
even
the Acolyte, throw the Armor Smith, then shield slam.
Yeah, and even then, that's
only
one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he's going for it. Or at least he's starting there, maybe to see what he can draw out. Wow. All right.
Yikes.
That feels, really bad. I don't know what his better option was, but that just was...
First 10 cards. Both Twilight Drakes, both Mountain Giants. Both games.
Yeah. Brutal.
I think in the last game he only had one Twilight Drake.
Yeah, you're right. It was both. It was definitely both Giants last game, though.
So in 2 games, he's drawn in 20 cards in 2 games. He's drawn 4 Mountain Giants and 3 Twilight Drakes in 20 cards.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day.
I can see why he's playing Handlock.
Handlock is too one of those classes, though, that when... I don't want to say when the planets align because that makes it seem so much more rare than it really is. Yeah. But when the planets align, it is such a powerful deck.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you really do, right?
Yeah. It's a powerful deck anyway, because even if you don't draw into Twilight Drake and Mountain Giants, sometimes it's a good thing, because then you play Sludge Belchers. They start using Shield Slams on Sludge Belchers.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you play it. He's like, oh, I got one of those too.
Wow, look at this board. This is just unreal.
He needs a brawl yesterday.
Yeah.
This will be just about the quickest Control Warrior versus Handlock game I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to take 8 to the face right here to get rid of the Giant.
Yeah, he can get rid of the Thorsan too. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he can. So then, all right.
Making his way downtown.
I would say perhaps even stabilizing here a bit, and he might be able to convince himself he is, but looking at this hand, he's still a pretty long way off.
Yeah. Is that like his 5th Mountain Giant? Feels like it.
Wow, even weaving in taps, getting a 3-mana Mountain Giant.
Wow.
Yep. And I like this too, given the taunt to, just to one of them. Okay.
He's forcing a difficult decision. There's no reason to give it to both. Because there's one with less health. And he wants him to, he's forcing him to attack into the one with less health and throw the Maiden in.
Big Game Hunter, by the way, came just in time.
Reaping a little bit of karma for having to deal with all of the threats.
Yeah.
One of which is still on the board.
Right.
But I think he might have done it.
Wow, I mean, and he's still at 22 health, too.
He's broken through.
Wow, he's still got an uphill climb, though.
Yeah, he's still got Molten Giants left.
Yeah.
Jiraxis.
And with a 1-mana Ancient Watcher and a 3-mana Shadow Flame, that's a 4-mana Flame Strike.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's a good point.
Oh, gosh. It is just huge threat after huge threat. Perfectly safe to just keep weaving taps in there. Keep that hand full.
It's raining threats.
Wow. All right, so a brawl, it would have to be... Oh, a brawl would have been really, really good here, though, especially with the Sylvanas on the board.
Yeah, just steal whatever comes out.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, you can Belcher to try to slow things down a little bit, but then it's not that hard to get through the Belcher.
I would feel just like playing Rag and hope you get lucky right now.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you're dead to, well, double Owl. Owl on the Sludge Belcher, Owl on the Ancient Watcher. And that's not really likely, but he decides to go for the Sludge Belcher. It is the safer play.
Yeah. So do you think we're just going to Owl and push on through? Oh, choosing to Owl Sylvanas instead of the Sludge Belcher just to push through more damage.
Yeah.
Safer play. Wow, and Shadow Flaming the Owl. I love that. Have you ever seen an owl get more value?
No. Never.
That owl just took down a Sludge Belcher And a Sylvanas.
Yeah, with a little help, but...
A little help, granted, but an Owl just did that.
Yeah. SilentStorm still not drawing to that brawl.
No.
His hand is just chock full of big things, and I think that's it. He needs a Miracle Rag here. I think it's Dr. Boom or bust.
Yeah, Ragnaros hits Dr. Boom, and he's got 14 health. I mean, he could still wind up being dead, depending on amazing rolls from the Boom bots.
Yeah. And that is going to do it, and it looks like it's going to be a Jiraxis finish.
Yep, absolutely. And there you have it. Roger evening up the series. SilentStorm faces Jiraxis. Eridar Lord. I'll let him say it himself.
And Warlocks used to be pissed because if you won with Jiraxis, it didn't count towards your 500 win total for your Golden Portrait.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was a bug for, I don't know, maybe a month or two.
Okay.
So people would go out of their way to not finish games with Jiraxis. It's just ridiculous. But
is the Golden Portrait that important to some people, I guess?
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I look at golden cards just as dust. Unless I've only got, you know, that copy of that card, it's nothing but dust to me. I don't understand the golden deck.
I base my entire self-worth on my golden cards. So I am offended.
All right. Well, we can hash this one out a little bit more later.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that conversation.
I don't know if I am or not.
You shouldn't be.
All right. This could wind up being a really interesting match here.
Yeah. Roger still has to win with Druid and Rogue. And that's actually pretty tough because Druid and Rogue both struggle against... oh, no, sorry. I mixed those up. I was going to say Druid struggled against Rogue. Rogue struggles against Warrior. And Druid struggles against that Demon Lock that SilentStorm has, which we saw him just pick apart Druids left and right at the Legendary Series Land Finals for Season 1.
Now, we don't technically know if this is that Demon Lock, though.
That's true.
We haven't been able to confirm that yet. Although I think it would be pretty cool for the champion of Season 1 to come back to Season 2 with the deck that was absolutely substantial in his championship run.
Yeah.
So it very well could be.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fallen out of the meta for a while now.
It has been, and I don't know how Emperor Thorson is going to change things for that deck, but he just has so much experience on it in practice.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought it out in a time when nobody was really playing Warlock.
Right. I feel like it might have been one of those decks, like we've talked about a couple of them, like the Snipe being good for a week.
Yeah.
Where it was one of those decks that nobody was ready for.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so that's why it enjoyed this wild success for its brief period of time.
There she is.
Oh boy, every single one of those pieces looks like that deck.
I'm sure it's nearly identical.
Yeah. Maybe weaving a Thaurissan in there.
Yeah, SilentStorm, you could tell he gets a little bit more swagger whenever he plays the Warlock. It's hard to tell. You got to look close, but you can tell he's like thinking in his brain that I got this.
All right, so nothing crazy out of the mulligans, although choosing the Wrath to keep that instead of getting aggressive for a Wild Growth or an Innervate probably shows that he wants to respect the fact that it could be Zoo.
Yeah, it still could be.
Yeah.
But knowing SilentStorm, I'm sure he knows who it is.
Right.
Roger's a big practice partner with Pinping Ho and Weifu, who are both Taiwanese players who were at the Legendary Series Land Finals. He might have even helped them prepare for it, or at least practice with them while they were preparing for it, so I'm sure he knows what kind of deck SilentStorm.
Well, these players are just playing tennis here, going back and forth, turn for turn, really quickly. To be fair, too, there isn't a whole lot to think about on most of their turns. They're pretty self-explanatory ones.
Yeah, SilentStorm told me earlier this week that it was pretty obvious. His favorite class is Warlock. Favorite card is Void Caller.
Wow, and he's already got the Mal'Ganis in hand for the Void Caller.
Dangerous.
Especially because we don't see a big game hunter yet. in Roger's hand.
Nope.
And there's really not much of another answer for Druids other than just a ton of physical damage from creatures.
It's too bad a big game hunter isn't a Twilight Drake or Roger.
Because then he'd have 3 of them already.
He'd have 2 of them or 4 of them, and he'd only have 1 in his deck.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the real Pandora's box, not Piloted Shredder, because it's really scary what could come out the other end of those things.
Oh, absolutely. I actually had a game against Kalento on the ladder right around the time GVG launched, where I was still playing that Death Rattle Priest because I really wasn't comfortable with any of the GVG stuff yet.
Yeah.
And he's playing a Demon Lock, and he puts one of those down against me. And I purposefully left it alone because I was so scared. I had 0 answer for what could come out the other end.
Yeah.
I wound up going back and watching his stream a little bit later and seeing how the match went, what I might have been able to do differently. I could have killed it immediately. He had nothing in hand. But like that's how scary it can be seeing one.
He had like a Mortal Coil, anti-heal bot, a couple of Dark Bombs.
Yeah, the game ends up going totally crazy late, which isn't very good for that kind of a priest deck. He winds up playing Jiraxxus, and it got pretty crazy. He did beat me, of course. But yeah, I was able to trace it back, and if I'd have just killed that thing,
you would have been okay.
I'd have beat Kalento.
Post the screenshot of you winning on your refrigerator.
Selfie with that one. All over every social media. All the social medias would know. Alright, so he did get the Mal'Ganis out. He gets silenced, but wow, he's still a big body on the board.
Yeah.
Now there's a Dr. Boom, and oh yeah, just do it. Go face, absolutely. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, swipe here is actually going to... it's not going to hurt him too much, but it's still a pretty big deal.
Swipe could wind up potentially, depending on his sequencing, working pretty hard against him.
Yeah.
If he were to swipe first, those boom bots could be devastating.
Yeah, he could safely just, if he wants to trade his whole board, just throw everything into either the Dr. Boom and the Mal'Ganis and then swipe, and it'd be a clean clear. And then hope the boom bots would hit. No, they were played second, so I think they would hit after whatever was spawned. So, there's the Captain's Parrot.
Don't you love it? All right, are we gonna see a monumental chain of events here? Oh!
No, not quite.
Hold on, it's still possible.
Just a small little chain.
All right.
Oh, 1 damage boom bots. It's not the best.
No, not the best. Yeah, I guess there's an obvious place to start. There's a pickup.
Yeah, but it doesn't really do much for him here. He wanted to see if he would get a BGH, but he's going to end up using him. Implosion's not that great either.
No.
I'm sure he's going to try and trade the Dr. Boom and then use Implosion.
Yeah.
But that's really weak to swipe.
Sure.
He could play the Nerubian Egg afterwards, which would make it not quite as weak to swipe, but still. Druid's running out of cards, though. I mean...
Yeah, he is running out of cards, but it's the ever-looming threat. Okay. That's pretty clean. Gives himself a 4/4, clears the board.
Yeah.
Now, how's he going to deal with Cenarius?
That's a good question. Bane of Doom!
Whoa!
That's the addition.
Oh,
and Bane of Doom, it sort of just got buffed, for those of you who aren't familiar. It used to only have a limited pool of demons that it could pull from.
Oh, okay.
And it recently just got changed to where it can pull any demon, including the new demons. He could have a second Mal'Ganis.
Ooh.
And there's actually not that many demons.
There really aren't, yeah.
And a lot of the demons are really, really strong. Like Doomguard, or Jiraxxus, or Mal'Ganis, or Dread Infernal. There's a lot of big, strong ones. So he could end up pulling something huge from this. If he implosions...
He could. He could also wind up pulling, a Flame Imp.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is...
Ooh, double implosion.
No! That's the best swipe I've ever
the juiciest.
Seen.
I have... Wow. Yeah, and then you follow that up with Druid, Charge,
so
I presume.
the Wambulance.
Oh, choosing to go with the taunt instead of the charge.
He had perfect Bane of Doom.
Oh, man.
He could have Bane of Doom. Bane of Doom.
You keep saying it.
I won't stop.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, he could Doomguard here, discard, and Mortal Coil.
Yeah.
Why didn't he Bane of Doom?
Healbot doesn't even get him out of combo range.
Oh, those are two. He didn't want to discard the Mortal Coil.
No. Well, all right.
But he's still kind of screwed.
Force of Nature does it. Exact lethal.
Wow.
Could have even hero powered to go a little on the overkill.
Or keeper and hero power. He could kill his Doomguard too.
He's got options. He could have done it with style, but Roger going with the gracious, the respectful, non-BM kill over SilentStorm. And now he's up 2-1 in this series over the Season 1 champion.
I want to say that was a misplay just because SilentStorm hadn't seen a swipe. Going so all in on the implosion.
Yeah.
If he had played Bane of Doom there, he really wouldn't have done anything else on the turn.
Sure.
He would have sort of said, if I don't get something good from this Bane of Doom, I'm screwed.
Right.
So he went for the, if he swipes, I'm screwed. Or if I don't get anything good from Bane of Doom, I'm screwed. So he went with sort of, I guess, the lesser of two evils.
Either way, I'm probably screwed.
Yeah,
so.
But definitely the less sexy play in that situation, for sure.
Very cool. All right, so now Roger up 2-1, just has to win one more game, and it's with a rogue.
Yeah.
Which has a lot of really good matchups in the current meta.
It does. It does have some pretty poor ones as well.
Yeah.
One of those.
In fact, yeah.
One of those being Warrior.
One of those being the Control Warrior.
So this matchup is tough just because sometimes rogues run out of damage. There's a lot of ways that Warriors can just keep themselves in the game early. They can keep the board clean, which makes for tougher oils. They can pressure also. They have the ability to pressure, which puts the rogue on sort of a clock. And they just have a lot of ways to like gain that health later in the game, which makes it really hard for rogues to do a lot of damage and still draw into their threats. The one thing that I always get caught doing is playing Blade Flurries like into Armor Smiths. And I had actually one of my games where we do the puzzle series. Or we try to.
Yeah, we do.
We play Hearthstone. We try to come up with puzzles.
Yeah.
And so we can put them on air and have you guys help us solve them, or we solve them and have you guys solve them for giveaways or whatever.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a puzzle, and I had this perfect puzzle. It was like great. It was like exact lethal, kind of complicated. But then I ended up blade flurrying into an armor smith, and thought that, always thinking that the damage is gonna from the blade flurry is gonna hit his face before the armor from the armor smith. So I ended up being something ridiculous, like 4 off lethal, and I emptied out my hand.
Yeah. So
it was like, wow.
Now how do I win?
That's embarrassing. Let me just stop recording right now.
Mistakes were made.
Exactly. You tried to throw it off like you did it on purpose. Thank you. Play like a SI7 agent or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just leave your computer and act like you DC'd.
Keeping the prep sprint, the SI7 agent, and the shredder in hand. Yeah,
what you want in against Warrior is bodies early on. And you want longevity, which he's pretty much got everything that he needs right there.
Yeah.
SI7 agent sort of just test the waters for weapons.
Sure.
Piloted shredder, really tough for a Warrior to remove most of the time because they have to use a weapon charge plus something else or 2 weapon charges. And the sprint is definitely one of the most important cards against control, because a lot of times you empty your hand trying to gain leverage over the control player earlier on in the game, and they need something to refill it to sort of push through that stabilization point that control decks usually have.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. All right, so nothing groundbreaking happening so far in this game.
Coin.
So we'll see how he chooses to deal with the Acolyte. And a reasonable just, oh, he's thinking about prep sprint there for a second, wasn't he?
So many options. What should I do? Wait, okay. I think Valir just said so many options.
She did.
Right after I said it. I didn't even mean to mimic the
oh,
rogue
you didn't?
emote. No, not at all, actually.
Okay.
I'm just that good.
I believe you.
Who knows that she was going to say that right then? I went back in time 3 seconds and then went forward in time again right away just so I could say so many options and look like I did it by accident.
And we see the old prep sprint coming from Roger here, loading up a hand, and he gets a pretty nice sprint out of that, I'd say. Gets the Azure Drake, which is always great. Also the Eviscerate. And did he have the Tinkers? He already had the Tinkers, yeah.
Yeah. I was trying, you know, when it gets late in the day and we're on the sixth best of 5 match, I was trying come up with interesting things to.
Oh, you don't got to qualify that whole last thing, man.
No. This is a new story.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to think of like the literal meanings of some spells.
Okay.
Like Fireball, okay, that's a mage. Like, okay, Fireball, yeah, they're casting fireballs. That's what mages do. But a rogue, like Sprint, like I just imagine like a rogue like running around the room sprinting, picking up cards. Like that's. It feels ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
You try and think of the logical application of sprint.
I love it.
Like sprint is supposed to give them more cards, so it makes them last longer.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, if you were sprinting as a rogue, you would think that it would be you getting rid of cards because you're sprinting.
We have taken this too far.
Whatever.
I think it's gone.
A little glimpse into Asmo's mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just doesn't make sense from a logical standpoint. Okay, moving on.
All right, you can have that one. You're right. I'll give it to you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so he's going to use the Execute on the Azure, which I guess against the Oil Rogue, the only other realistic target would be the Violet Teacher, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty easy to remove with all of your other tools in your arsenal.
Yeah. Now, I said earlier you want creatures in this matchup. But you don't want too many creatures.
Okay.
Because you can get a clogged hand like this where you just have so many 3-drops that are situational.
Right.
Like you're just throwing this Earthen Ring Farseer out to eat a Deathbite charge, hopefully. And you know he's just going to gain absurd amounts of armor from it. So this is a really rough position, and this is one of the reasons why the Oil Rogue struggles, is because they have to get a really great start and never fall behind.
Right.
Because once they have to start using their Blade Flurries and their spells to catch up, they've already lost. Because behind that, the Warrior's just gaining health and armoring up every turn, and eventually the Rogue will run out of damage. And the Warrior can just sit back, armor up, get a pina colada, and just let the Rogue bottom out, basically.
Just live the good life.
Exactly.
No problem. So Thorsan coming down. Yeah, and it's just like you were just saying. It looks like he has to use a lot of his sort of card combinations that you want to be using to deal crazy damage just to get rid of big scary Emperor Thorsan.
Yeah, what is he going to do here? He can, like, Earthen Ring Farseer and then Eviscerate and attack into it. You're giving him 2 health. You're taking 5 damage.
Yeah. And
you still got an Armor Smith on the board that you got to deal with. And you're not really putting that much else on the board. And the thing that I like here is,
I guess, yeah, Deadly Poison SI is probably the cleanest option here.
Yeah. You're still giving him additional 2 health. And he's going to play both. Now, the thing that I was going to say that I like most here is that he's saving that Deathbite charge because of that Violet Teacher.
Right.
He's saying, I have that Whirlwind effect. You can't make a big leverage play with Violet Teacher because I got this weapon.
Yeah.
That's going to kill everything.
Right.
Even Baron Geddon as well. There's lots of answers.
So it looks like the Warrior just going to kind of slowly just continue to build out his lead, get all those important cards, try to really ultimately get to Alexstrasza and Grom.
This is
a power play right
clean.
Here. Yeah.
2 draws from the Acolyte. He's going to get buttloads of armor. Clear the board. He gets face damage as well, so he puts on pressure. This is everything you want. He's gaining health, applying pressure, drawing cards.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you look at the hand too. Here, you got to start with a Fan of Knives. Gosh, just to Eviscerate.
So many options.
Now he's got to get through 35 points of damage.
Yep. which I know the Oil Rogue can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time, but that's a lot of damage.
And it's going to be over a long amount of time,
yeah.
Most likely.
Oh, an Unstable Ghoul. So you were telling me that the Unstable Ghoul's made a little bit of a comeback recently in the Control Warrior.
It was mostly just for face hunters. I mean, there was that point at the end of last season where the ladder was just 50% face hunters.
Yeah.
And even Control Warrior, who has a stronger matchup against face hunter, if you lost to face hunter, you just wanted to quit the game. So Unstable Ghoul was that card that you just sort of put in there to make sure, like it's the double tap for the against the hunter.
Wow, has to sap Alexstrasza. Oh,
sap the Alexstrasza. Attack with your deadly poison into the armor and redagger. One of the weakest turns.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets really any worse than that. That's rough.
And Alexstrasza did its job. Brought him to 15.
Yep, absolutely. Now he's got the Belcher to stand in the way in case he's going to pull off any shenanigans with this South Sea deckhand.
I see. And this is like the ideal burst combo, like a combination of cards in Roger's hand.
All right, but look at that. He's got 35 health. Presumably going to be at least 37 with the Shield Maiden in hand. Could be even higher. Could be at 42 health.
Yeah. I mean, I'd just be inclined to like play the Alexstrasza just again.
Yeah, right. Just for the 8/8 body at that point. And if you wanted to go real high level BM, you could even just reduce your own health to 15.
Yeah, whatever.
And you still got 32 health left.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, sap. Yeah.
You can sap and then take off all of his armor.
I was going to say you sap and then what, double tinkers and just get him to 25?
Yeah, and the Armor Smith behind the Sludge Belcher. Oh, God.
Wow, so he's down to 11 health. 7 on the other side of the board. A weapon wins here.
Oh, he has Grommash in his hand.
Oh, he's already got Grom in his hand.
Yeah,
he just got that last turn. There you have it. SilentStorm, evening up the series.
We're going to a game number 5.
Yep.
This is what, the second game today that we've gone to a game number 5, second match?
That's right.
And, I mean, this was pretty... We looked at the matchups earlier, and there's some mismatches there. And so it was pretty obvious that if certain classes matched up, they were probably going to fall. And that was one of them. Warrior, I don't know the percentages, probably 60-40, maybe 70-30 in favor of the Warrior.
Yeah.
There are chances for Rogues to just completely blow out a Warrior. They don't get removal early on. Rogues build a big board that just isn't able to be dealt with and have a big oil turn. But that's how most of them seem to go, is exactly what we just saw there.
Right. So now the last match is going to be Rogue versus Paladin. Definitely an easier match for the Rogue than the Warrior. But
oh, for sure.
I wouldn't say an altogether lopsided one for the Rogue.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean,
this is really tough for Paladins.
It's not as tough as the Rogue was against the Warrior. Do you think it is?
I think it is.
Okay, how come?
Oil Rogue became popular pretty much only because mid-range Paladins were dominating the ladder. Well, not only because, but one of the main reasons why it was so popular for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it was like had 60% representation in tournaments, which is a pretty ridiculous number.
Yeah.
Because mid-range Paladin was just so strong. Was just so relevant, I guess, right then. And there's just so many ways for Rogues to just stop whatever Paladin's doing. There's not many ways for Paladins to gain a foothold. And actually...
Okay, I think that we may have just had an error there. Because it looks like SilentStorm's already won with the Paladin, right.
Well, I went on that huge tangent just for nothing. But yeah, that matchup is rough, but this matchup... I don't even know, to be honest.
Yeah, the Demon Lock versus the Oil Rogue. Not a matchup we see very often.
Yeah, and it's not a match. I played a lot of Oil Rogue, and it's not even a matchup that I've played very much because I don't see this type of Demon Lock on the ladder very much. Most of the ones I see are like Demon Handlock hybrids. And the couple ones that I have played against this type of Demon Lock were just such high variance in how the game went that it was hard to tell. Like some games were just complete lopsided wins. Some games were just like weird losses that I'm not sure where I went wrong. And that's, I think, the strength of the deck. You don't really know.
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah, exactly.
How do I win? Oh, Sap Mal'Ganis and Blade Flurry. Gotcha.
All right. So we don't see him use the coin to get either the Mistress or the Nerubian Egg out on turn 1. Gonna hang on to it.
Yeah, he's trying to think of, okay, what could my opponent do that would punish me for coining out something?
Mm-hmm.
And what would I need that coin for later on in the game? Maybe Implosion he's waiting for?
I feel like the egg would have been pretty safe, because what are you going to do, backstab an egg? No.
Yeah, but I feel like the egg doesn't really have an impact on the game, whether you coin it out or not coin it out.
Okay.
So there's really no point to use the coin if you're planning on playing the egg the following turn anyway.
Especially when you top deck a Void Caller on turn 3 with a Doomguard and a Mal'Ganis already in hand.
Also a Mistress of Pain, though.
That's true.
So that little guy could be a dud.
Well, we'll find out. Oh!
Hello.
All right, there you have it. Not bad.
This could be like all sorts of next level mind games, though, because you see him pull Mistress of Pain, you think, oh, maybe that's his only demon. Plays another Void Walker, you're like, oh, I'm not scared to kill that. Then the Doomguard pops out.
Yeah. I don't think that was what he was going for there, though. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
He's looking at it as a 2/3 likelihood to put something out that is frightening at this stage of the game.
Yeah. And this is good here. Cashing in on the egg while you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making a really tough decision here. And it actually is tough.
Yeah, because there's absolutely merit to the Fan of Knives play. Oh, wow. Well, there's not. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, he's actually going to hold on to it. But prep sprint for the following turn. You can even dagger up afterwards. As long as there's not something too big coming on the board here. Implosion almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
Actually, no, yeah.
If it rolls 2, how sad face is he, though? Oh! Let's see. Oh, and the slight shake of the head.
Yeah, if it rolled 3 or 4, you'd be able to deal with it relatively easily.
Yeah, 4 especially.
And
then the Fan of Knives.
Implosion is just such... it hurts so much when it's bad, but it feels so good when it's good, because there's 2 ends of it that are RNG. If you roll low, you get low imps.
Yeah.
If you roll high, you get high imps. So when it's bad, it feels really bad.
It's really bad.
But when it's good, it feels really good. Someone on the forums or Reddit suggested that they make Implosion backwards to reduce the effect of RNG on it. If you roll 2 damage, you get 4 imps.
Oh, interesting.
3 damage, 3 imps. If you roll 4 damage, you get 2 imps, which I like.
So it's always a pretty balanced result, no matter what.
Which I liked. It still kept the flavor of Implosion.
Yeah.
But it made it so you aren't punished too heavily for bad RNG, and you aren't rewarded too much for good RNG.
All right, so the Rogue's just starting to put a little bit of damage on the face, finally, with the SI7 agent. And see, this is the whole crazy thing about SilentStorm's deck here, is none of this, there's nothing particularly scary about that board.
Yeah.
But somehow it just continues to work out. He'll probably get abusive Sergeant value next turn into some sort of a nice trade up, or, you know, there's just so many different little things that you probably don't see coming when you're playing against it.
He pulls out wins from seemingly odd places, but it's harder against Rogue because you don't really have as much room for just doing crazy stuff.
That's true.
Because they'll do more crazy stuff than you ever will. And this, unlike the standard hand demon lock, they don't really have walls.
Right.
So they're relying on just using their cards to be able to clear efficiently.
Well, he definitely does run, if it is the same deck as the Season 1 finals, he's definitely got Defenders of Argus in there.
Yeah.
At least 1. I can't remember if he ran 2.
I think he ran 2, but I'm curious. Wow. He has to use a Doomguard there.
Yeah.
He gave up probably the better 2 cards.
Yeah, I think so.
Because if he gave up Mal'Ganis and Jiraxis in that situation, I'm sure he would not have been happy.
We might have just seen him concede right there.
Yeah. The spell-powered Blade Flurry to clear the board.
Yep.
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim.
Very nice. Wow, and he still got another Blade Flurry, Tinkers, Sap, and Eviscerate. He's still... Ugh.
Ooh.
See how this goes.
He rolled 2 again because he popped the Mortal Coil out. That's rough.
Wow.
Implosion's not on point.
Oh, there's the defender of ours.
Oh,
come on.
What? Roger, calm down there, buddy.
Hold on. Now, is this... So, Deadly Poison, Tinkers...
He cashes...
Blade Flurry...
It's lethal regardless.
Eviscerate.
Yeah.
He's got the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
He cashed in on the Wild Pyromancer first. Heads up play there. That was a little bit of an anticlimactic ending. SilentStorm not having as much success that we saw at the Legendary Series Season 1 Finals, but still a really fun series to watch. And, impressive from SilentStorm, but even more impressive from Roger. Yeah, and SilentStorm is still alive. He's going to drop down to the losers bracket, where he'll be going up against Lead Paint, who faced off with Trump earlier. The guy named Lead Paint.
Yes, a guy named Lead Paint. Not actual lead paint.
Yeah, that'd be a rough battle.
I think that's been outlawed since like the 70s.
Yeah, who knows where we even got a hold of Lead Paint.
So, against Lead Paint, seeing the... We haven't seen his Hunter yet, by the way.
Yeah.
How do you think that one looks on paper?
Well, one of the reasons why SilentStorm made that Demon Lock was to prey on base hunters. Hunters in general. I think he had a 100% win rate against hunters in the Season 1 Legendary Series Finals. And his deck looks actually really good. His list looks really good against Lead Paint's list. But it's hard to say. I mean, with Conquest, the matchups could be a little bit wonky. He may not meet. He doesn't have the choice of like countering the Hunter deck after it wins with his Warlock. He has to try and meet it the natural way.
Sure.
And sometimes that just doesn't work out. But it should be a really interesting series.
All right, well, we'll find out. But before we do, we want to give a big shout-out to our sponsors, Plantronics Gaming and Gigabyte. Go ahead and support the Hearthstone Legendary Series by shopping on those websites with the links you see below and upgrading your personal rig at home to, as Plantronics commercials have so eloquently put all day today, and rate. Deal with that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, also keep sending in those tweets using the hashtag HLS. That's at ESL Hearthstone that you want to send those tweets at. And, of course, we haven't mentioned it in a while, but we are still giving away a ton of packs and rig headsets. Head on over to esl.gg/legendary giveaway to enter that raffle for your chance to win one of those fabulous prizes.
And I will definitely be entering if I'm eligible, and if I'm not, I'll make a fake name.
Oh, come on. That is cold-blooded, man.
I just want some packs, man.
You don't need the packs.
Just give me some packs.
All right, wait, that's enough. We'll be right back with the lower bracket. That's Lead Paint versus SilentStorm. Don't go anywhere. You're watching HLS.